Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch is an apocryphal text that circulated among early Jewish and Christian communities but was ultimately excluded from the official Bible. It tells the story of the Watchers, angels who descended to earth, taught humans secret arts such as astrology, metallurgy, and magic, and were punished for corrupting humanity. Its central figure, Enoch, an ancestor of Noah, serves as a messenger between heaven and the fallen angels, recording revelations about the origins of evil and the hidden structure of the universe. Its roots trace back to Jewish writings from the 3rd century BCE, preserved in Ethiopic and Aramaic, with fragments later discovered in Qumran among the Dead Sea Scrolls. For that reason, the Book of Enoch carries real historical weight. It reflects a period when theology and astronomy overlapped, and visions of the heavens functioned as sacred science. The official meaning of the text is moral. It warns of the danger of knowledge used without wisdom. The fallen angels are metaphors for humanity's misuse of curiosity and the loss of divine order. Beyond its religious context, however, Enoch influenced mystical and esoteric traditions that viewed the cosmos as a coded system waiting to be decoded. Over time, the Book of Enoch gained a reputation as a forbidden text, largely because its cosmology diverged from Genesis. Some modern interpreters linked it to theories of celestial visitors or alien origins of knowledge, which only deepened its mystique as a subversive and enigmatic work. A popular curiosity, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church still considers Enoch a sacred book, the only Christian branch to preserve it in full. Enoch has become a symbol of a hidden wisdom, a book said to reveal what heaven never intended humankind to know. Key of Solomon. The Key of Solomon is regarded as the most influential grimoire in Western magic. Presented as a manual written by King Solomon himself, it outlines rituals for summoning and controlling spirits, crafting talismans, and purifying sacred objects. Widely copied and adapted during the Middle Ages, it became a cornerstone for Renaissance alchemists and magicians who saw in its pages a bridge between the divine and the occult. Historically, it was not authored by the biblical king, but appeared centuries later, likely between the 14th and 15th centuries in Latin and Italian versions. Attributing it to Solomon, the archetype of the wisdom, gave the work spiritual authority and respectability. Over time, it evolved into multiple branches, including the Goetia, which catalogs the 72 demons Solomon supposedly bound to construct the Temple of Jerusalem. The book's official meaning lies in the pursuit of spiritual mastery. The magician who performs its rites properly does so not out of vanity but in God's name, to maintain cosmic order and repel chaos. Its circles of protection and magical seals symbolize the balance between faith and technical knowledge. Eventually, the Key of Solomon gained an aura of danger and mystery. Some interpret it as a coded manual of demonic magic, others as an early form of symbolic psychology, a map of the inner spirits of humankind. Conspiracy-minded readings claim it served as a real handbook for secret orders seeking to manipulate invisible forces and control the physical world. And many of its instructions, crafting rings, using metals, observing lunar cycles, directly shaped popular culture and modern esotericism, from tarot to supernatural fiction. Even today, ceremonial magicians follow its formulas, keeping alive the tradition that says forbidden knowledge never disappears. It only changes form. Pistis Sophia. Pistis Sophia is a Gnostic Gospel dated to the 2nd or 3rd century CE, written in Coptic, containing dialogues between Jesus and his disciples after the resurrection. The text focuses especially on Mary Magdalene, portrayed as the disciple who most deeply understands the spiritual mysteries. Its title means faith and wisdom, and the work describes the journey of the soul, called Sophia, striving to rise from the dense material world toward the radiant spheres of the divine. It reflects a stage of early Christianity when multiple interpretations of Jesus and salvation coexisted. In the Gnostic view, salvation comes not through Christ's physical sacrifice, but through inner knowledge, gnosis, that frees the soul from ignorance. Thus, Pistis Sophia presents Jesus more as a teacher than a martyr, revealing secrets of the cosmos. The text maps levels of consciousness and layers of the universe that the soul must traverse to return to its original light. A kind of spiritual initiation manual built from symbols and metaphors. Over the centuries, the book was deemed heretical by Christian authorities, largely for giving Mary Magdalene a central role and for teaching the idea of multiple lives, incompatible with orthodox doctrine. These themes inspired the later notion that Pistis Sophia preserved Jesus' true secret teachings, hidden to protect the church's authority. Rediscovered in 18th century Egypt, it inspired philosophers, theosophists, and occultists. Today, scholars and psychologists alike study it for its intricate symbolism of fall, redemption, and the feminine path toward enlightenment. Gospel of Mary Magdalene. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene is one of the most intriguing texts of early Christianity. Partially found in 5th century papyri, it belongs to the collection of Gnostic Gospels offering an alternative view of Jesus' teachings. It depicts intimate dialogues between Mary Magdalene and the apostles after Christ's death, where she shares private revelations Jesus had given only to her. Here, Mary is not a secondary figure, but the disciple who grasps the deepest meaning of the Master's message. Composed between the 2nd and 3rd centuries, it reflects a form of Christianity in which women still held positions of spiritual authority. Mary is portrayed as the embodiment of inner wisdom, teaching that the true path to the divine lies not in external dogma, but in remembering one's own luminous origin. This message challenged the male-dominated hierarchy of the early church. Its central idea is gnosis, knowledge that liberates. Mary teaches that sin is not moral failure, but forgetfulness of the divine self. Salvation, therefore, is the act of remembering spirit, an inward process rather than a ritual one. Philosophically and spiritually, it stands among the most refined of all early Christian writings. From the 20th century onward, the Gospel of Mary gained a more conspiratorial reading, that she was Jesus' true spiritual or even romantic partner, and that her role was deliberately erased to establish a patriarchal church. Though largely symbolic rather than historical, this interpretation resonated with modern efforts to reclaim the feminine dimension of faith. The text inspired modern works like the Da Vinci Code and rekindled interest in a spirituality that balances the sacred masculine and feminine. Sepher Raziel. Sepher Raziel Hamelach, or the Book of the Angel Raziel, is a mystical text from Jewish tradition said to have been given to Adam after his expulsion from Eden. According to legend, the angel Raziel, known as the keeper of God's secrets, revealed within it the mysteries of creation, the names of the angels, and the formulas that explain the structure of the cosmos. The narrative portrays the book as a celestial manual containing both natural laws and spiritual instructions, blending theology and early science into a unified symbolic system. Compiled from Kabbalistic and magical writings circulating in the 13th and 14th centuries, Sepher Raziel belongs to the line of Jewish grimoires written in Hebrew and Latin. It integrates concepts from Kabbalah, astrology, and medieval angelology. Divided into sections, it discusses the creation of the world, the power of Hebrew letters, and prayers for communicating with the divine realm. The book teaches that to know the name and function of each angel is to grasp the divine order of nature itself. It expresses the belief that the universe was built from sacred codes and languages, and that cosmic harmony can be restored through understanding them. Over time, Sepher Raziel gained a reputation as a dangerous book. A popular legend says God tried to take it back from Adam, fearing humanity would misuse its secrets. Since then, it has been seen as the Book of Forbidden Power, a key granting absolute protection, even from fire and water, to its possessor. Grimoire of Honorius. The Grimoire of Honorius is among the most controversial works in the history of occultism. Attributed to Pope Honorius III, who ruled the church in the 13th century, it was said to be a manual for summoning and commanding demons through divine authority. That claim made it particularly scandalous. A pope, the ultimate figure of faith, linked to the creation of a book of black magic. In truth, the text is much later, likely from the 17th century, part of the European traditions of grimoires falsely attributed to holy figures. In practice, the Grimoire of Honorius describes rituals that mix Christian symbols, crosses, exorcisms, and Latin invocations with formulas for conjuring and binding spirits. This blend of sacred and profane makes it unique. The magician calls upon demons in God's name, using ecclesiastical authority as a tool of spiritual command. That paradox earned it the reputation of a blasphemous manual, rejected by both theologians and occultists. Though historically baseless, that idea helped turn the Grimoire of Honorius into an enduring icon of mystery and heresy. Testament of Solomon. The Testament of Solomon is a pseudepigraphal text from late antiquity, probably written between the 1st and 5th centuries CE. It presents King Solomon himself recounting how he received from God a magical ring bearing the seal of the archangel Michael. With it, he could control and question demons, forcing them to reveal their names, powers, and weaknesses. The text unfolds like a spiritual catalog. Each demon describes the harm it causes and how it can be subdued, blending religion, mythology, and what we might now call symbolic psychology. Rooted in the Jewish Hellenistic world, when faith and magic still intertwined, the Testament expands Solomon's image as the wise ruler into that of a master exorcist. It reveals how beliefs about possession, healing, and spiritual protection traveled among Jews, Christians, and peoples of the Near East, directly shaping medieval magical literature and the Western imagination of controlling evil. The work's core message is about the power of understanding. By naming and knowing the demons, Solomon symbolizes humanity's triumph over chaos through knowledge. The ring is not merely a magical artifact. It represents rational and spiritual mastery of the unseen. Many regard the Testament as the original blueprint of Solomonic magic, whose fragments later appeared in medieval grimoires such as the Key of Solomon. Modern interpreters sometimes frame the ring as a divine technology, a literal or symbolic device to access higher dimensions, though that idea belongs more to popular culture than scholarship. Zohar. The Zohar, or Book of Splendor, is the central work of Jewish Kabbalah, a mystical tradition seeking to uncover the divine structure of creation through symbolism, numbers, and deep interpretation of the Torah. Written in Aramaic in the 13th century, it's attributed to the Spanish Rabbi Moses de Leon, who claimed to have based it on revelations that took from the 2nd century sage Shimon bar Yochai. Its complex structure comments on biblical passages, transforming them into esoteric keys to the spiritual mechanics of the universe. The Zohar emerged during a period of intellectual renewal in medieval Judaism. It introduces concepts such as the Sephirot, divine emanations that form the tree of life, and portrays reality as a dynamic flow between the visibles and the invisible. Unlike other scriptures, the Zohar offers not commandments but metaphors that teach readers to think of the divine symbolically and interactively. Its official meaning lies in reconciling reason and mystery. The Zohar proposes that the universe itself is the language of God, and that each letter of the Torah is a spark of divine light. Studying it is not only an act of learning, but a participation in Nazim ongoing creation, a vision that unites theology, poetry, and cosmology in one framework. Because of its complexity and the fear of misinterpretation, the Zohar was long reserved for initiates. Some rabbis deemed it dangerous for the unprepared, a secrecy that fueled its legend as a forbidden book, a direct encoding of the divine mind, revealing how reality truly operates to those able to decipher it. Today, the Zohar continues to influence not only Jewish mysticism, but also modern movements of spirituality and symbolic psychology. The Tree of Life drawn from its pages appears in esoteric schools and contemporary art alike, proving that the Book of Splendor remains one of humanity's most profound attempts to read the hidden language of God.